Okay. All right. Can you guys hear me clearly? Just a quick test to see if you guys are all here. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Thank you for saying yes. Sorry again about the mix-up. Unfortunately, we need to go with a delay just because otherwise people on mobile won't be able to follow along. So, thank you so much. Jirigi, thank you. And I apologize for mispronouncing your name. Yes, we're just going to wait just for 1 minute for the other people who were in the first stream to join us. Okay. All right, excellent. So, hello guys and welcome back. This is Phil's day off, and unfortunately this is one more day where you can't see my face. I have to say this time I did go to the store to buy a webcam and they said that they were clearing out. They had no more webcams for sale, probably because everyone has to work online now. Me and Phil are based in Taipei, and unfortunately we were just hit with the COVID virus. Taiwan is now suffering from the COVID virus, and so a lot of people are doing things online now. So I promise you I will get a webcam as soon as possible. This may become a running gag. So, without further ado, I know that you guys are waiting to jump into this essay. If you guys were here yesterday, we did a little bit of brainstorming. Today we are going to look at the essay that we had submitted to us by Theo. So again, thank you Theo so much for giving us an essay. And by the way, this is for everyone. You can send us an essay at corrections@theieltsgrind.com. It is in the description. And if you have your own task 1 essay or your own task 2 essay, or you're speaking, send us that and we will go over it and tell you how you can improve. Or if you have the score that you need, and then you can be lazy and just go take your test. So, let's jump into this. Just as last time, we have research shows that business meetings, discussions, and training are happening online nowadays. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? What I want you guys to do first is tell me, what kind of essay is this? And I will wait about 1 or 2 minutes for you guys to let me know. Is this an opinion essay? Is this a advantages and disadvantage essay? And I think you guys can see that Phil is also here. Hi, Phil. You guys can be viewing this as well. In the description of this video, there is a link to this document, so you guys can jump in and read at your own pace if you want. But what kind of essay is this? Let's see if anyone remembers from let's see if anyone remembers from yesterday. Or from Monday when Phil went over this kind of essay. Be brave, I believe in you guys. Let me know what kind of essay you think this is. Okay, and Phil just dropped the document in the chat, so you can just click there as well. Phil, how about you tell me what kind of essay it is, just so I have an estimation. Yes. The answer in 3, 2, 1. Oh, nice! It was stolen! Stolen from you, Phil. Thank you so much, Jiggy D. Yes, it is an opinion essay. We know because even though it says advantage and disadvantage, this is not an advantage and disadvantage essay because it wants to know what you think. Whenever you need to answer a question like this, it is an opinion essay, which means in your intro, you need a clear thesis that is saying your opinion and then supporting your opinion. So let's jump into this guy's essay. We can see that his task response was a 5 to 6, ended up being a 5. Now, unfortunately, he was very close to a 6. However, because of how he connected his ideas, it wasn't clear, his meaning, and because of that, it dropped him to a 5. It was very close to being a 6, except for that big problem. And I will call you Shatish. Okay, thank you, Shatish. Okay, so he does do a lot of things good. First of all, he starts his essay with one sentence that introduces the topic. This is great. This is really good. And unfortunately, there's a few vocab problems and grammar problems here that make the meaning not 100% clear, but it's close enough that I can understand what he means. Also, he has a very clear thesis. Nevertheless, I believe, so it is his opinion, that there are more repercussions, disadvantages, than its benefits. Again, little grammar problem here, but because we're talking about task response, if I can understand the meaning, the grammar doesn't matter for task response. The only time grammar or vocab will affect your task response score is if your mistakes are so bad that that the meaning cannot be understood, or the ideas cannot be understood. So even with these little grammar mistakes, still a good intro. Next up, he actually has 3 body paragraphs, which is actually okay. If you have time to make 3 body paragraphs, if you were a very fast writer, that's perfectly fine. Unfortunately, the way that he writes his essay and the way that he connects his ideas together, this whole paragraph should just be deleted. Okay? Remember, this is not advantages and disadvantages essay. In an advantage and disadvantage essay, body 1, you say what the advantages are, body 2, you say what the disadvantages are, and then in your conclusion, you say which one outweighed the other. Because this is an opinion essay, he should have all of his paragraphs directly connect to his thesis. So his thesis is, I believe there are more disadvantages than advantages, which means all of his paragraphs need to be connected directly to that. He needs to say, there are more advantages because, or there are more disadvantages because. Sorry, only the second one. He needs to say why he believes that there are more disadvantages. This first paragraph, he is talking about an advantage. To begin with, it greatly contributes to the reduction of greenhouse gases. Great vocab. Almost perfect grammar except for here. However, this is an advantage. Why is he starting his essay with an advantage? Now, he then supports his idea, which is good. This does help task achievement and cohesion and coherence because he is correctly connecting ideas here. However, again, this is supporting an advantage. The only time you should say an advantage in an opinion essay like this is if you are going to then say a disadvantage that is more important or better than that advantage. Now, he does do that in his second paragraph, despite its environmental contribution. This is great. So he's saying, even though it helps the environment, even though this is an advantage, there is an argument that online conferences limit the development of practical skills. So this is beautiful, okay, for task achievement. He's saying there is a benefit, but the detriment is bigger than the advantage. There are more disadvantages than advantages. The disadvantage is more important than the advantages. So, by the way, if I'm going too quickly or if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. Okay. Now, even though this first sentence in the second paragraph does a really good thing, there's two problems with it. The first is that he says there is an argument that online conferences, so there's an argument. This is distancing language. What this means is he's saying that there is an opinion. This has the same meaning as some people say. Some people say that online conferences limit the development of practical skills. This is a problem because what does he need to do? And go ahead, Dali. Feel free to say your question. Or is your question that you don't know if you have a question or not? Go ahead and shoot if you have a question. Yes, and while Phil is answering that, again, I apologize. There's a little bit of a delay between what I say and real time. But feel free to ask and we will answer it. Anyway, the second problem is that he's not comparing these directly. He's saying this construction, the way he says this is great despite the environmental contribution. So despite the advantage, he should change it to, I think that online conferences limit the development of practical skills. That would fix the first problem. And for Dali, yes, you can make a recording, you can make a conversation and send that to us, and we will fix it for you if you send it to corrections@theieltsgrind.com. And for Tabinda, I'm so sorry, I'm terrible with names. As Phil said, I called him Paul before because there was another British person who was in my life named Paul, and so I called Phil Paul. It was very embarrassing. There were many people who saw it. I apologize for names. But while it is true that every essay is you saying an opinion, which does make them all opinion essays, in IELTS, there are different structures for different essays. And in fact, just to show you guys, there are opinion essays. And the structure for an opinion essay is you have your intro, and in your intro you have a thesis, say opinion. So this opinion essays are usually like do agree or disagree. This is also an opinion essay. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Do you think people should retire at 65? Then body 1 will say why you think this, number 1. And then body 2 is why you think this, number 2. And then your conclusion, summarize. But there are other kinds of essays. I'll make a nice PowerPoint, and the next time I have a live stream, I'll put this up for you guys very clearly. But just to give you an advantage, there are also advantage and disadvantage essays. In an advantage and disadvantage essay, you will first have your thesis. Oh no, everything's working against me. Okay. So you will have a thesis, and your thesis will be, so you have your intro, and in your intro will be a thesis, and your thesis will say, this essay will discuss the advantages and disadvantages advantages of this. Okay. And then in your body 1, you will say the advantages. And then in body 2, you will say the disadvantages. And then in your conclusion, you will say the advantages outweigh the disadvantages plus y. Okay, so the structure is quite different, and we actually have done a few videos on this. Phil will try to find it, and we actually have a video that breaks down the 3 types of essays and then how to structure them. We actually even have a short on it, which means we have the information in under a minute. So hopefully Phil will be able to find that eventually, but you guys should know that these are different types of essays, and so they have different structures. Thank you so much for that question, but we are going to keep looking at Theo's essay. Okay, and let's keep looking at his body 2. So, he had 2 problems with his topic sentence. Number 1, he didn't say his opinion. He used language that makes it sound like it's someone else's opinion, even though this is an opinion essay. Okay, just so everyone can see if they go back later. Okay. Second is that he's not really saying that the disadvantage is bigger than the advantage. This is his second problem. So, and answering Tabida's second question is, he asks, when we mention that advantages outweigh the disadvantage, therein do we need to mention more advantages? So we do need to say what an advantage is, but it's more in passing. In this kind of essay, because you only have 250 words, when I tell new students who are studying IELTS about the IELTS exam, and they hear that they need to write 250 words, most of them go, "Oh man, that's so long." But it's actually a very short essay, especially for people who are high-level language users, who are high-level English speakers. It's not a lot of space. So because we don't have a lot of space, when you say an advantage, it should always serve the purpose. You should always say the advantage so that you can show that there is a bigger disadvantage if you say that the disadvantages are bigger than the advantages. So I hope that this is clear. You will mention advantages in your essays, but only to support your thesis. Your thesis is there are more disadvantages than advantages, so when you mention an advantage, it's always so that you can slap it down, so that you can say, this is an advantage, but the disadvantage is more important. The disadvantage is bigger. Okay. Great question, by the way. Keep asking them. Thank you for being a super student. And for Dali, there are different formats. Again, Phil put a video link down there so that you can watch that after or during. And then again, at the top, we have the different structures right here. I'm going to change the font so that they can easily fit on one page. Okay. But as we can see, and sorry, just changing the line spacing to 1.5 or to single, we can see an opinion essay has this structure and an advantage and disadvantage has this structure. They are different essays. Okay, so as we said, even though the vocab here was great, the grammar here was great, the task achievement did hurt. Now, unfortunately, the rest of this paragraph has a problem where he's not connecting his ideas very well. And because he doesn't structure his ideas, he doesn't connect his ideas well, it really hurts understanding his essay. And because it's hard to understand his essay, it does drop him to that 5. This essay was very close to a 6. I can tell that if he was to speak normally, or he's probably a better speaker than he is a writer, and the way that he can use English, his vocabulary and his grammar is quite good, I would actually put him closer to a 7. Okay? But unfortunately, because he's not connecting his ideas well, it drops him all the way down to a 5 because there's problems understanding what he's saying. We can see that specifically here, and this is another way that the 4 categories are interconnected. This problem is more of a CC problem. CC is cohesion and coherence. Connecting ideas is a CC problem. Because he's having such a big CC problem, it is hurting his task response, his TR. To show you specifically what I mean, so he says, despite its environmental contribution, there's an argument that online conferences limit the development of practical skills. Great, I understand what he's saying. It is for the reason, probably for this reason, it is for the reason that its environmental conditions restrict hands-on learning from varying scenarios. What does he mean by environmental conditions? Now, I'm an English teacher, so I have a superpower. Even if you make a huge mistake in your vocabulary, me and Phil can probably understand what you're trying to say. When he's saying environmental condition, he's not talking about the environment, like up here, reducing greenhouse gases. He's probably talking about like the work environment. However, in the sentence, the way that it's used, it is not clear, and I can't really understand what he's trying to say. This also doesn't really connect to the development of practical skills. Okay, so restricts hand-on learning. I think this is him trying to connect this to practical skills, but again, the vocabulary doesn't quite fit that way from varying scenarios. And again, what does he mean by varying scenarios? I'm not sure. And so because of these vocab and connection problems, I really can't understand what he's saying here. And I know that he's trying to support his topic sentence, but because of my inability to understand, because I can't understand, it really hurts his task response. He's not supporting his idea because I can't understand what he's saying. Next, humans learn through situational events. Again, I'm not sure what he means by this. Situational events can be anything, any situation. And virtual learning seemed to be highly structured and performed routinely. Again, the vocabulary by itself, virtual learning, seemed to be highly structured, performed routinely. Each word, each section, I understand what he means, but it's not connected to the argument he's making. It's not clear to me. Because I can't understand his argument, bad task achievement score. For example, the most student interns under occupational therapy, in occupational therapy maybe, acquire skills in countering a child's maladaptive behavior through different levels of cueing. So this may be true, but this is a very specific example that I can't understand how this connects to performed routinely or highly structured. Again, can't understand the connection, can't understand his argument, low task achievement. Finally, he says, furthermore, applications of physical prompting, so this is connected to cueing, on internet-based sessions is extremely difficult. This mistake is because he uses the wrong CC word. What I mean by CC word is a word that connects ideas. Because he used the wrong CC word, it doesn't match. He should use a different word to specifically say that this is why this doesn't work. So, for example, most student interns in occupational therapy need to work with children, and that work requires using cues. When you are doing things online, it is very difficult to use cues. I know that it's hard to follow an argument using high-level vocabulary, but luckily, this is a recording, so you can always go back and listen again. And you know what? Just to save you guys time, I'm going to type out how I would fix this part. Okay? So his main argument was that it limits development of practical skills. One practical skill is one example of a practical skill that can't be done online is doing work in behavioral therapy. For example, to help children to get over maladaptive behavior, there needs to be different levels of cueing. It is extremely difficult to do this online. So I hope you guys see what I've just written out here is what all of his ideas that he had up there that was used in a logical way in English. One of the problems with people learning another language is that the way that you structure your arguments, the way that you make a logical argument in one language could be very different in another language. I know most of you guys are not Chinese or Chinese speakers, but just to give you an example, a lot of Chinese speakers organize their thoughts and ideas in a way that is very weird to English speakers. In Chinese, they start by setting up the context for the argument in the situation, maybe with a quote, and then they meander, they go slowly through the context, and then at the very end, they say their main idea. In English, it's completely different. You start with your main idea, and then you directly add supporting details that connect to your main idea. I'd like to say something that helps students understand this. When you guys are learning English, and you guys are writing in English or speaking in English, you need to remember that English speakers, English readers, and English listeners are very stupid. English is a low context language, and what that means is you need to say everything. If you do not say a connection, the connection is not there. So, again, I hope that you guys can read both of these paragraphs and see how I improved it by seeing how the ideas fit together. All right, so again, because I couldn't understand how his ideas were fitting together, he does get that 5. In fact, I was even thinking about a 4, but the rest of his ideas are good enough that it was able to be a 5. Honestly, if he was able to fix how he organized his ideas, easy 6. But because of his mistakes and also because of the things he did well, it is a 5 for this section. Down here, another drawback is the disruption of work productivity. This is great, beautiful topic sentence, done well. However, his first supporting detail, since the loss of internet connectivity is unavoidable, this is the way that he says this sentence, the grammar that he uses, makes it sound like everyone who uses the internet to do things will lose their internet. There will be a break in the internet. Something will go wrong with the internet. That's what he means by it's unavoidable. The internet will never work 100%. And this is not a great thing to say because it's not true everywhere. For example, in America, in the UK, and in many other places, you can rely on the internet. Not everywhere, but this is a weird way to go. He's saying that the internet will always fail. Now, his supporting detail for that is fine. It will hurt the employee's accomplishment. This last part is it's weird to have in the sentence, but that's more of a vocab part than anything else. He then supports it more, saying that it causes a myriad of issues, and this hurts the job performance. So this paragraph by itself is actually pretty good. The only downside is that he still hasn't connected it with his thesis. Remember, you need to be saying that there are more disadvantages than advantages, or the disadvantages are more important than the advantages. He does say that this is a big disadvantage, but he doesn't compare it to any advantages. Because he's not doing that, it's not fantastic. Again, this paragraph by itself could get you up to a 6, but it would not get you a 7 or an 8 because you're not directly connecting to your thesis. All right, finally, he had a fantastic conclusion. In closing, although it is acknowledged, again, this is weird because he should be saying it as his opinion, because this is an opinion essay. Although it is acknowledged that computer-based activities pose a significant benefit in the environment, there are considerable negative effects, such as, and then he says the first one that he talked about, and then the second one he talked about. This is great. Fantastic conclusion. To reiterate my stand, I am of the view that there are greater downsides on using such mediums than its advantages. This sentence right here makes me think his speaking is probably naturally a 7. When he's just talking to people, it's probably about a 7. But again, even if you're a pretty good language user, if you're not following the IELTS structure, the essay structure, you're going to run into problems. Okay. All right, so task achievement. If you guys have any questions about that, feel free to ask down below. And let's move on to cohesion and coherence, 4 to 5. Again, if I'm going quite quickly and you guys want to read through it yourself slowly, again, in the description of this video, there is a link to this document so you guys can pop in and read it. All right, so cohesion and coherence. We've talked about a lot of these already. The grammar problem in his intro means that the connections between these two ideas is a little bit tough. That's why it's in orange. It's a mistake, but I can still understand his meaning. Nevertheless, is used beautifully here. Great CC word to use, and he used it correctly. He said, this is true, but I believe something else. Great CC word to learn, and this is a great example of it. Also, I'm hearing that the picture is not clear. Okay, just give me 1 second to double check this. Thank you for letting us know, Dali. Again, if the picture isn't clear, you can again follow the document elsewhere, but let me double check something really fast. Okay, I can see that the picture isn't clear on mobile. Unfortunately, it is clear on desktop, which is why we're having this problem. I am not sure, unfortunately, how to change the quality here for you guys, because it is not a problem with my computer or with my internet connection. It is a problem with the device that you guys are using to watch. Phil, if you're still there, please say hi and let me know if you're also having problems. Just read it slowly. Okay. 1 second. Let's see if there is anything I can do on my end. So, I apologize again about the fact that it's hard to see on mobile. We will try to fix it for our next live stream. When I go over something, I will read it slowly, but again, I highly recommend that you open the document in the description. Again, it is open to anyone to look, and it is in the description of this video. So, let's continue again for cohesion and coherence. All right. He has a lot of really good ways to connect his ideas in the first paragraph. To begin with, good way to start a paragraph. He uses referencing here. This is simply because people do not have to travel to their workplace. This is referencing. He's talking about why using things online contributes to the reduction of greenhouse gases. And again, you guys will be able to go through this on your own. I've highlighted all the CC words to make sure that it is clear. And then despite also works this way. And then it is for, we do have the problems down here. We talked about it during task achievement. The way that he organized his ideas was the big problem here. And finally down here, he connects his ideas very well, uses good CC words correctly. This is something that you guys should try to steal. What I mean by that is learn the sentence frames. For example, another drawback is, and then you say what the drawback is. If you learn the sentence frame, it will really help your essay. You will be able to trick your examiner by using high level grammar and vocabulary, and it will surprise them and help push your grade up. We're just going to very quickly go over his vocabulary. And again, this is because it's blurry for mobile users. But he did a lot of really good things. If you guys see here, it could have been a 7. It very easily could have been a 7 with him using correct vocabulary, him using great collocations. However, he dropped down to a 5 because there were a few vocabulary mistakes that made it impossible for me to understand his meaning. Okay. Just the first one that I want to point out. With the advent of rising conference platforms, the way that he uses rising here is not quite correct. I understand what he's trying to say. There are more and more conference platforms that are being used, but this does not quite mean that. Okay. However, he used with the advent correctly, beautifully. I would probably just get rid of rising to fix it. This medium meaning the platform, the way that people interact, he uses it correctly and beautifully here. Repercussions, some people were asking about another way to say disadvantage. This is a great synonym for it. All right. So, to begin with, it greatly contributes, great collocation. Probably need two to the reduction of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, simply because beautiful high-level collocation. This is what makes me think that he is probably a very strong English speaker, just because this is a very natural thing to say. Provides a positive effect, another great one. Now, all of the red, him misusing environmental conditions, him adding from varying scenarios, him saying situational events, and these things that even though he uses the right vocabulary, it doesn't fit to his argument, it doesn't fit what he's trying to say. Because of these mistakes, these are what dropped him all the way from what could have been a 7 all the way to a 5. This is why me and Phil often say, when you are writing your essay, do not choose the most interesting argument to make. You should choose instead the easiest to support argument, the easiest argument to write. Remember, the IELTS exam is not testing your intelligence unless you're trying to get an 8 or a 9. The IELTS exam is an English test. It's testing your ability to express yourself in English. It's testing your ability to write clearly in English. So if you come up with 2 ideas that you could talk about in your essay, and one of them is really interesting, it's a very smart argument, but it's difficult to say, you need to use a lot of high-level vocabulary and connect your ideas in a very complicated way, it may be better for you to instead write the simpler but easier to write argument. If you remember only one thing from this live stream, remember, choose simple to explain over interesting and complicated. This is why he was pulled down. Okay, the rest of it is pretty great. The description of work productivity, okay. He actually uses unavoidable correctly, and he uses the loss of internet connectivity. Beautiful, high level, okay. Again, through fulfilling deadlines of their output, this is weird. This was a weird thing to add. I just wouldn't say this. If he had stopped here, it would have been perfect. Such delay is going to cause a myriad of issues. Beautiful. Okay. And resonates adversely. Phil, I'm going to ask you for this one. Does that sound right? I was reading it, and resonates is great, but resonates adversely on a person's job performance. Does that sound right to you? I'll wait for Phil to get back to me in chat. And by the way, remember guys, if you have any questions or if I'm going too fast, please let me know, especially since we know on mobile it is very blurry. Again, I apologize for that. Yeah, it doesn't sound quite right. Okay, so although it's acknowledged that computer-based activities pose a significant benefit to the environment, great. Okay. Considerable negative effects, great. He just has a lot of really good high-level vocabulary. Now, restrictive scaffolding of skills, not sure if that's right, but I get what he's trying to say. But he does do a good job with the rest of it. So his vocabulary, again, I feel like it was really close to being high level. It was really close. But he tried to do a complicated argument, and that was the problem. By the way, if you guys want to see a better way to say resonates and adversely, Phil in the chat added 2 sentences that you guys can see. All right. So grammar, he got a 6. His grammar was quite strong, close to a 7, but he had a few too many mistakes that stopped it. So yeah, not too much to say there. Finally, we are going to look at the model answer. And again, The reason why we're showing you this is to show you how to connect ideas well. Again, I may go over this a little bit quickly for you guys, and again, you guys can get the link in the description. The link is in the description, so you guys can jump on and see it. Okay, just to show you what I mean, if you guys go to youtube.com and you guys are watching the live stream, yay! Remember to give us a thumbs up to say you like it. And you guys can see down here, there is a link. We also have corrections at the IELTSGrind.com. Use this to send us your essays to be graded with live corrections, along with your speakings. And then if you click here, it will bring you to the document so that you guys can look at it on your own time. Okay, so model answer. More and more people are doing things online, from business and training to the majority of their social interactions. Again, it is always important that if they mention it in the prompt, that you at least mention it in your intro. Okay, so I have business, training, and majority of social interactions. I personally think that the advantages of this trend towards online interaction outweigh the disadvantages associated with it. Very clear thesis. Advantages outweigh disadvantages. Now, let's look at body 1. The first reason why I believe there are more positives, this is the most important word, there are more positives, is that it is better for the individual. So this is a good topic sentence because this whole paragraph is going to be about the benefits for the individual. Being able to work and live online allows us to work at times and places that are convenient to us. So this is why it is better for the individual. This sentence directly connects to my topic. We are seeing more people working from home, which saves them time as they no longer need to commute and also allows them to live wherever they want. So this is a long sentence, maybe a run-on sentence, but we're saying it saves them time. We're saying why it saves them time. We're saying that another benefit is that it allows them to live wherever they want. Okay, so everything directly connects to the previous sentence. When you guys are writing, it's very important that you guys directly connect each sentence to the other. Again, remember, English readers are stupid. By the way, there is Anonymous Panda. Thank you for joining, Anonymous Panda. It's clear that people are watching. Nice. Now, again, thanks to this technology and subsequent societal change, this is a little bit high level, but the reason why I have this sentence here is because it's been a long time since we talked about the trend. Okay, so I'm using different words to remind you that this is all about this trend. They is referencing for the people or the individuals. They are able to save money. This is another benefit, as they can choose a place with a lower cost of living. Nice high level vocabulary. Okay, so it saves individuals time. It lets them live wherever they want. Again, they can save money because they can live wherever they want. So choose a place with a lower cost of living connects to live where they want. Saves time connects to no commute. I hope this is clear for you guys. Again, if I'm going too fast or if I'm going too slow, please let me know in the chat. Now, well, this is specifically about what Tabina was asking before, or actually, I think he told me his real name. And Tabinda, yes, Tabinda was specifically asking, how can we incorporate advantages? If I am talking about advantages, okay, and the yellow sentence. Thank you, Naz. I can, of course, explain that. So, thanks to this technology and subsequent societal change, so this means because we are doing things online, because we can do things online, and subsequent societal change, this is people doing business online, people training online, and people doing their social interactions online. So again, yellow, and yellow. So this is referencing. Instead of saying exactly what it is again, I'm saying this technology, this is doing things online, and the societal change. People doing business, training, and social interactions online. Subsequent is a high-level way to say after and because of. So subsequent means after and because of. We'll use blue. So we had this technology to like Zoom and Google Meet, and then because we have technology, we had societal change afterwards. Thank you so much for that question, Naz. Great one. Okay. So they're able to save money, and then we already talked about how these ideas connect. The blue connects to the green. So the green is a main point, saves time, can live anywhere, and saves money. And the blue connects to the green points. And the yellow was referencing to remind the reader about the main topic. All right. Now, as I was saying for what Tabinda said, this is how you introduce the opposite. My essay is saying that there are more advantages than disadvantages. But I'm about to say a disadvantage here. So it is true that not having a central office everyone goes to, so this is high-level grammar, but this is saying that everyone goes to, does negatively impact company culture. So this is a negative. Red here does not mean that it's wrong. I'm just highlighting this is a disadvantage. Yes, and sorry, Naz, for the extremely high-level vocabulary. Which is why we also go over the good vocabulary that is lower level for you guys. So that there's stuff that you can steal here, and then also some stuff that you can steal here. Yes. So this is a negative, but the reason why it works is because we say, while we have this negative, the benefits mentioned above more than make up for this. And more than, this is the thing that I want you guys to really recognize. I am comparing the disadvantage to the advantage. So I'm saying that this disadvantage doesn't matter as much because of the advantages here. This would be a great sentence to steal. The benefits mentioned above more than make up for this. It has referencing, so if you wanted to, you could change this to restate what you set up here. But this is a beautiful sentence to steal. If you steal one sentence for your essays, I hope that you steal this sentence. The benefits mentioned above more than make up for this. This is directly connected to my opinion. Okay. Finally, nice CC word. And again, this is a final reason why it's better for the individual. People today are able to continue to stay in contact with friends and family, which is something that wasn't possible without this technology and its implementation. Implementation means people using the technology. So, I added this sentence, and I want to ask you a question. Does this sentence connect to the main topic of this paragraph? What do you got? Nice. Excellent, Naz. Yes, steal as much as you can. And this is for everyone. Steal what you can. Just make sure that you also learn how to use it correctly. But that's the great thing about sentence frames, is it's a sentence that you know how to modify. Maybe you don't understand the grammar 100%, but you know that the grammar is correct, and you can maybe change the subject or one of the nouns, and you know that it will be fine. So, yes. My question to you guys, and I'll let Phil answer to let me know when time has passed. Does this last sentence connect to the rest of the paragraph? Does it connect to the topic sentence of this paragraph? I'll give you guys a minute to think about it. This is a theme song for a famous game show in America called Jeopardy. All right, Nas is brave. He thinks no. Does anyone else have any ideas? Does it not connect to the topic of this paragraph? Thank you, Naz, for being so brave. You are a super student. Awesome. Does anyone else want to be brave like Naz? Okay. So, Naz, you are correct that it does not directly connect to the other supporting details. Okay? All of these supporting details is about the benefits of working from home. However, it still connects to the topic sentence. What I mean by that is the topic sentence says that it is better for the individual. And this is another way that doing your social interactions online is better for the individual. It is better for individual people because they can stay in contact with friends and family. So it doesn't connect to the other supporting details, but it's perfectly fine here because it does connect to the topic sentence. It is tricky. Yes, that is 100% true. Now, it is great, it is perfectly fine because it connects to the topic sentence, and the other reason why it's great is because it connects to something that was mentioned up here. They talked about discussions. So, I hope you guys see that I have added a detail that covers something in the prompt. Now, especially if you only need like a 6 or 6.5, you may not need to cover everything that's in the prompt, but if you want a higher level essay, you do need to make sure that you talk about everything here. You should at least mention everything in your intro. Okay, every word that's here should at least be said once in your intro, and that will be fine. But if you want a really nice essay, you also have details that are connected to these things. Okay. Now, next is body 2. Speaking of how this trend affects companies, So now it's very clear what this whole thing will be about. It's going to be about how it affects companies. Thanks to people spending more time online, we have seen remarkable economic growth around the world. This is the supporting detail. And then right here, this is saying why. So because people spend more time online, we have economic growth. This growth, nice referencing, is in large part because the more people able to be online, the more potential customers companies are able to reach. So basically what this sentence means is because people are online, they are able to buy more things. Because people are online, companies can have more customers, which directly connects to economic growth. Additionally, so I'm saying this to say my next point about companies, because people are connecting all over the world, many companies and people are able to get better prices. So this is my next point that connects to a benefit for companies. So it's an advantage, as everyone competing in a global market instead of local ones. And this is my supporting detail. This is my support for my support. Okay. These prices are then passed on to consumers, benefiting everyone. And this again is another detail connected to better prices. Now, this paragraph, if I did not have the final sentence, if I deleted the final sentence, I would have the same problem that Theo had. I would have the exact same problem that Theo had, because I would just be saying what the advantages are. Luckily, okay, phew, I thought I lost it forever. Luckily, I had this extremely important sentence right here. There really is no downside. So this sentence is telling the reader, there are only benefits here. When we are talking about companies, okay, advantages for companies, there are no disadvantages. And again, this is extremely important because remember, you're not just saying advantages and disadvantages, you're saying why there are more advantages than disadvantages. Okay, why the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So up here we said more positives for the individual, and we say that there are more positives for the individual because even though there are some disadvantages, the advantages are more important. Here, I'm saying the same thing. So let me change this to purple so it's the same color for you guys who are following along. Okay. The benefits mentioned above make up for this. What color did I use? I will never know. Stupid Google Docs. So yes, there is no downside here. This last sentence is extremely important. And then finally, I have a conclusion, but most people don't have problems with their conclusions. So I say that there are negatives, but I use the CC word, while there are negatives, it is clear to me, so it's my opinion, that they, meaning the negatives, I'll highlight for you guys, are outweighed by the convenience, we'll use blue, the market access, a better blue, and finally, lower prices. Again, I know that this vocabulary was quite high, but I wanted you, the more important thing is that you guys see how the ideas are fitting together. How you always have a detail and then supporting detail, and your detail always connects to your topic sentence. So again, topic sentence is connected to my thesis. There are more positives. I say exactly who it is for. This is about better for the individual. Topic supporting detail for this, and then supporting detail connected. Supporting detail for this, supporting detail connected, and so on and so on. This is how you need to write. This is how we speak. This is how we communicate in English. Okay. So, and again, convenience, I talked about convenience up here. Market access, I talked about that here. And lower prices, I talked about here. All right, guys. Now, depending on how active you guys are, we are going to spend the next 10 minutes or so turning the brainstorming that you guys did last time into paragraphs. Because this is another thing that students really struggle with. Maybe they're able to come up with ideas, but they have trouble making them written down. So just to see who is here, if you are here, please say hi so that I can know who's here and who will be able to engage. Anybody? Please say hi if you are here. Hi, nice, Naz, fantastic. Anybody else? Or is Naz going to get a private lesson, one-on-one? Please say hi if you're here. Hi, everybody, hi. Ah, Naz, it looks like you are extremely lucky. Oh, and Raghav, nice, hi. And Phil, but Phil is over here, always here. We don't care about Phil. He's lonely. He'll spend his evenings here anyway, just because he doesn't want to be alone. Oh, I can't wait to see what Phil says about me in the future. All right. So, last time we came up with these ideas to talk about. So, it's the same essay. Again, it's an opinion essay. And we came up with these great big ideas to write about. We said relationships deteriorate and break down because you guys wanted to say that the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. And by the way, remember you can send us your own essay here at corrections@theieltsgrind.com. And what I want us to do is I want us to first write down our thesis. So, what is our thesis? Remember last time we already came up with our big idea, and we're saying that there are more disadvantages. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to write your thesis. You guys all said you wanted to say that the disadvantages outweighed the advantages. My model essay was saying the opposite. My model essay was saying the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. But I want you guys to take 1 minute or so and write your own thesis, saying the opposite of mine. And remember, this is an opinion essay, so you should always start with I think, or I believe. So I'll give you guys maybe a minute or two to write your own thesis in chat. If you guys are in the document, I can open it up so that you guys can actually type directly here and we can respond that way. But that is only if you guys enter the document. I'll change it so anyone can edit. Oh. So if you guys go to the description and jump in, you guys can type directly here. Or you can enter it into chat. Now, Phil, I would like you to write your own example thesis. It can be a good example or a bad example, just so that I have a timer to see how long I'm giving them. I'm sorry, guys, I don't have any music to listen to while you guys are working. I apologize. Just my voice. right, just please write your thesis into chat. And if you have rewound and you're just now getting here and you're not live, I recommend you press the live button so that you can be up to speed with the rest of us. Do not be shy. Do not be afraid of mistakes. I will fix them. Don't worry at all. This is just about making sure you get the main idea. Okay, thank you, Phil, for your own. Thank you, Naz, for your own. All right. So just for the people here, I'm going to write what you guys wrote in chat, and then I will be adding my own after that. So this was from Phil. We'll call him Silly Phil. And then super student Nas. Okay. And lucky for me, I can just copy and paste and not waste people's time here. I believed that I could copy and paste and not waste people's time here. Oh, I know what the problem is. Okay. There we go. And then here as well. The problem was because in the chat it is white, and so it came up invisible. But let's change the color. And remember, anyone else can also add their own thesis. Okay. So Phil gave us a thesis that has a few mistakes in it. It's good that just because of low-level vocabulary he's using, but the fact that he ended with a question is a big problem. Is this good or bad? Why? It's actually terrible. Silly Phil. Because even though he has a clear opinion here, whoa, invisible text. Okay. Even though he has an opinion here, he then says the question again. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. If he wanted to make it better, it would be here. By the way, me and Phil are good friends, so don't worry too much. We're just having a good time. And and Naz says that he stole it from Phil's essay, which was great. And Raghav also had one. Fantastic. Let me change the color so we don't have problems again. And again, this is the thesis, which is the last sentence in the intro. I hope you guys remember this. This is not the only sentence in your intro. This is the last sentence in your first paragraph. All right, I personally would argue that this has many more benefits than drawbacks for the employees and offices. However, some disadvantages also persist. Okay. This is a good thesis, though I hate to admit it because, you know, it comes from Phil. It is a little bit limiting because you have to talk about employees and offices, and it's not talking about the social ones, but it's still a damn good thesis. And then down here, I reckon the pros of online surfing outweighs the cons. Thank you, Raghav, for saying this. This is actually something that I really want to highlight. This is an example of a vocabulary. It's the online surfing, the vocab is fine, but it doesn't have the same meaning as the prompt. And let me just copy the prompt here real fast. And this is a really common problem that people make. So it's not about online surfing. It's about using the internet for meetings, discussions, and training. So this is thank you so much, Raghav, for this submission. But the vocab, you've got to be careful with it and with what synonyms you use. Okay. And I see D-Box has joined us as well. Thank you so much for these submissions, guys. You guys are all super students, so I need to change this as well. Super student Raghav. And we will write one here that is very clear. I think that the advantages of doing everything online or doing more meetings, social interactions, and training online outweigh the disadvantages. Okay. By the way, guys, one thing that I want to point out here is that when you have your thesis for your planning, because this is still our planning phase, when you're doing your thesis, when you're planning before you write your essay, make it as clear as possible. Say everything very clearly that was mentioned up here so that you don't forget, because we're still in the planning phase. Okay, so thank you for your submissions. These were great. This next part is going to take a little bit more time. We may actually decide to give it to you for homework. Homework from a live stream. This isn't what I signed up for. We have our thesis now. And like I said, thank you for your submissions. But now what we are going to practice doing is taking our big ideas that we came up with last time and turn them into paragraphs. So I'm going to do one to show you how it's done, and then I want you guys to do the same and submit it to us at corrections@theieltsgrind.com. And the next time me or Phil have a live stream, the first thing we will do is we will go over the paragraphs you gave us to let you know if you connected your ideas well, or if you had problems connecting your ideas, if your vocabulary was clear enough for us to understand what you were trying to say, and so on. Ooh, and Raghav had an update for his. Fantastic. So this was 1, and of course if there is 1, then of course there is a 2. And I'll just copy and paste it to save time. And I have to say, this one is better. Yes. I reckon the pros of using the internet for virtual consensus, debates, and learning outweighs the cons. This is fantastic, except for this one word. It's not, I don't know. Phil, what do you think? Consensus for meetings. For meetings is one of those things where it's the perfect word. There's not really a great synonym that you can use. So this is a really common thing that a lot of students struggle with, where they think that they can never use the same word. It is okay to use the same word sometimes. Sometimes there's just one word, and even though it's low level, it's the right word to use. So like, because it is the right word to use, even though it's low level, you need to use that word. So if I was going to change one thing, I would change consensus to meetings. Oh, conference would actually be okay. So if you said meetings, it's fine. But we're going to use what Phil said and say conference. So virtual conferences, my mistake, debates and learning. So you are a super student. So actually we're going to say super duper. A super duper student because you added a correction. This is what we want. Honestly, this is the best way to improve. You give us something and then you try again and you make it better. This is how you improve. I know that it's more work, but it is the best way to do it. Fantastic. Okay, so we have our theses. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take one of these ideas. Now, I want to leave you the easier idea. I want to let you do the easier idea for homework. So can you guys tell me if we are looking at these big ideas here, and big ideas are the ones that are on the far left. These are details connected to the big idea. Which one do you think is most difficult and which one do you think is the easiest? Please let me know in chat. And again, Phil, you will be my timer. When you think enough time has passed, please let me know. Me and Phil were thinking about adding music, well, like elevator music, so that you guys can listen to it while you guys are coming up with your ideas. But we don't know what music you like. So also let us know in chat what kind of music you like. And if we can find music that is not copyrighted, we will add some of that. So right now, all you have to do is choose which big idea. So this is the first big idea. This is the second big idea. And the third and the fourth and the fifth. You guys just need to tell me which big idea you think is the most difficult and which big idea you think is the most easy, is the easiest. Please let me know in the chat. When I get a webcam, there will be dancing during these intermissions. There will be dancing instead of silence when you guys are working. But no webcam, so you guys can't see me. Okay, so Phil is saying the first one, relationships deteriorate, break down, is the easiest. I think I agree with that because we've already come up with a bunch of ideas. Now please tell me which one is the hardest. And Phil says miscommunication is the hardest. Okay. Last call. Anybody else want to add yours? Which one is the easiest? Which one is the hardest? Phil, can you give me a countdown from 5? Two. 1. 0. Ah, Phil, you're so bad at this. Alright guys, so your homework, if you choose to accept it, and you should if you want to pass the IELTS exam, is to take this idea and write a paragraph. You do not need to write a whole essay. You only need to write a paragraph. So write a paragraph and send that to us, and we will go over it together sometime, probably at the beginning of the next live stream. Right now, I'm going to take this one and turn this into a paragraph. So, we have our thesis, and we have our topic sentence. And with this, we are going to make a beautiful paragraph. Again, corrections at the IELTSGrind.com is where you should go. And let's begin. We need a topic sentence. So we need to connect it both to our thesis and to our big idea here. The first reason why I believe the disadvantages of this trend outweigh the advantages is that it causes a lot more miscommunication. Such a big word. Can't even fit on the same line. And I know that was me cheating using spell check. I apologize. You can't use spell check on the real exam. All right. So now we need to come up with a reason. Now, again, this is not ideal when you should not be writing off the top of your head. I can do that because I'm a native speaker. I think in English, so I'll be able to come up with ideas in English very easily. You guys should have planned beforehand. This is why this is your homework, because we've already come up with some ideas for you to use. Okay. So you're turning this into a paragraph. Now, we're probably going to give an example. When we communicate online, we miss a lot of non-verbal cues that exist when we are face-to-face. For example, when students are learning online, it is often hard for a teacher to tell if they are paying attention. It is the same during meetings. Is this miscommunication? So these ideas connect to each other fine. This is an example of missing nonverbal cues. But is this an example of miscommunication? Unfortunately, it is not. So the task response, the CC, is not great here. So let's just delete this for the moment. Remember, we need to be talking about miscommunication. Okay. When we communicate online, we miss non-verbal cues. This can lead to miscommunication. Body language, maybe. Again, it's hard to tie this into miscommunication, isn't it? How about instead we talk about a specific thing? So when we are in meetings for work, we may miss someone's body language and get offended. Again, sorry for cheating. And ruin our relationship with them? Maybe. And get the wrong idea. For example, we may mistake a joke for a command and end up doing work that we don't have to do. Similar things can happen when we Skype our family or friends. Miscommunication can also happen due to technical difficulties like dropped connections. This can distract students from learning and missing important details from their lessons. Alright, so now we have talked about training, social interactions, and meetings. We have done all three. And it is all connected to miscommunication. Alright guys, thank you for joining. I hope that you guys can write your own paragraph. Now, wait a minute. We didn't talk about how this outweighs the advantages. So we should add one more sentence that does that. Even though people claim it is more convenient to work and study from home, the frequency, or how often, these miscommunications occur make me think otherwise. So basically this last sentence is saying, even though some people say that it's more convenient to work and study from home, from my experience, or I think, that these miscommunications make them wrong. So again, this last sentence is comparing the advantages to the disadvantages. This last sentence is saying there are more disadvantages, which is in line with our thesis. Wait a minute. This one is saying the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, but we're supposed to be doing... we need to fix our thesis. I'm so sorry. The problem with the live stream. Outweigh the advantages. Oh no! I hope people watch all the way through. Yes, thank you for all your great questions. If you guys have any more, now's the time to ask. These can be about speaking, they can be about writing, task 1, task 2, even reading and listening. We have taught all of the different skills for the IELTS exam and are looking forward to helping you. Also, next week, Phil will be doing the evening ones, and I will be opening up a morning slot. We will let you know the schedule in the community tab of next week. But thank you guys so much for watching, for joining. I hope you found this useful. Remember, send us your homework. We will correct it on live and give you live feedback with only a slight delay. Again, sorry for any mobile users who had a weird connection. We will look into trying to fix that later. And I hope to see you guys in the future. Good luck studying for your exam. And see you next time. So, with your introduction, Raghav, good question. You don't need a hook. Not really for this kind of essay. In other essays, like when you guys go to university, you will need a hook. But in the IELTS, it's really only introduce the topic and then have your thesis. The examiners have to read your essay, so there is no need for a hook. And for Naz, we may misunderstand the coworkers thanks to poor internet connection, which may lead to serious arguments. That is good. That is a great connection. I like that one a lot. Nice. Any more questions before we dip? Dip means leave. Before we dip, before we leave. We actually do have a Facebook group. We also have a Discord. Phil is the main one on the Facebook group, and I am the main one on the Discord. Again, you can find both in the description. Just to show you guys what's up, if you guys go to our video, hello, this is us, and then we go down here, we can see that there is a Discord, where I like to hang out, and then there is a Facebook group and a Facebook page for you guys. And again, you can see on mobile, there should be a little arrow, you click it, and then you can see the description. It's called IELTS Success by the IELTS Grind. This is our Facebook group, and this is our Facebook page. If you like us, please like this, and also like this. We need all the likes. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you were on mobile and you were having some problems, I have a feeling that if you watch it again, or if you watch it with a little bit of a delay, it may go away. Let me double check on mine really fast. This is so weird. YouTube, why do you suck so much? Unfortunately, it looks like if you are on desktop, you will have no problem with the video feed. For mobile, we will experiment with normal latency, and I have a feeling that will solve the problem, but unfortunately, it will also add quite a delay. So we will take this all into account. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Remember, I will be doing a few morning classes, and Phil will be doing evening. So let us know in the community tab where you will be, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys!